guys, how's it going? Welcome to this week's recap video. This one's going to be a little bit different because I am on my own today. I mean, Aaron is here, but he's not feeling well. It's been a bit of a rough week for us, honestly. The kids got sick and then Samantha got an ear infection. They're both pretty congested still, but on the mend. And Aaron just I think today's been the worst day for you, isn't it? He's sitting here with me, but he's just not going to participate, which will actually probably make this video, it's weird two words to say together. It will probably make this video a little bit shorter. We're also down one video because we did have to skip a day because I just was hanging out with Samantha on a couple of her more tender days this week. So anyway, the first video from last week was planting garlic, harvesting pumpkins, and planting some stuff. So I spent some time up in our raised bed garden planting the garlic. Also harvested the cinnamon girl pumpkins, which was kind of an experiment. It was a short day pumpkin. I ended up getting, I think it was 14 was the count, 2 of which were kind of green, but the rest of them were beautiful. It was a success project right there. And then we planted a few things out in the south garden. So first comment was from Dahlia. The cats have come to join you more often now that the weather has started to cool. I missed seeing Russell and Cheddar shenanigans as they follow you around. And they have been coming around a lot more. Russell today, I was out filming earlier on today and he was everywhere I was. He just shows up. It's actually a nice day today though, fairly warm. I think it got up to 75. 5 days of rain in the forecast starting tomorrow though, which I am ready for it. Martha said, off topic question, do you remove your hose links and store them over the winter or just leave them in place but disconnect them from the faucets? No, we actually take them into the barn. So we disconnect from the faucet. You can just, like most of them, we can just lift right off of their little, all of them. You can just lift right off of their little bracket. I don't know what else to call it. Or the pipe that we have it installed on, and you just lift it off and put it up in the barn. Just drain the hose out. Yep. Except for the one inside the greenhouse. That one stays up all winter because it stays warm enough in there. Peggy said, when you are planting a small tree like sumac, do you wrap the trunks in the fall so they don't get harmed for winter cold and wind? I do not. I know that some people do that. I've never done that before, not one time. Huh. Judy said, are you going to be taking pictures of your south garden for winter planning? I know you were able to rewatch the videos, but having to sort through the videos may be a little time consuming. Correct. Silly question. Not a silly question at all. I take pictures all the time. I mean, I share a lot on Instagram, just kind of what's going on in the day. And so that means if I share maybe 2 pictures a day on Instagram, you know that there's at least 20, if not more pictures that I didn't share that I took that day. Colleen said, Laura, why no garden boots or at least sneakers? Do you get dirt in your shoes? I like my Vans because they're comfortable. And yes, I do get dirt in my shoes. I get dirt in my shoes, a lot of dirt in my shoes. Although I'll probably start switching over, these days of rain we have coming up. I'll probably wear something that's waterproof for at least, I don't know. Maybe I won't. I am, if nothing else, a creature of habit. Intense creature of habit. Monique said, does your camera have a fisheye effect during some parts? So I accidentally hit a setting, apparently, right? This feels weird, you guys. I'm so used to being able to talk to Aaron during this that it feels a little odd. I'm gonna just be honest with you. But yeah, I accidentally hit a setting on that camera that was not proper. And so a couple of videos happened before we realized what was going on. So I'm really sorry about that. They did look weird and it bummed me out because there's no going back. There's Russell as we speak. But I think we fixed it and I know what to look for now before I hit record. I checked the settings. Russell, do you mind? Kathy said, I love the sumacs, but wondering why you don't have burning bushes or forsythia. Just give me time. We're planning on it. I like both of those plants. And A-Will2 said, yes, you have done so much. What about a year in review with before and after aerial shots? Just a thought. I think, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've been gathering drone shots and things like that. So we should be able to put something together. We typically like to do that, maybe the week of after Christmas or something, kind of as a full year, a look back at the full year. Okay, I feel like you're honing in. I don't know what. Next video was last big vegetable and flower harvest. So in that video, we went out into the cut flower garden and just picked everything that was ready. We picked every last pepper that was ready. We pulled the plants actually that day too, as well as beans. We picked all the peas that were ready then. We're still getting peas now. We have a new crop out there. And then every flower, every dahlia that we could find that was really nice, we cut those, and it froze that night. So the whole dahlia patch was black the next morning. So the timing was perfect. And it's funny because, so we took all that produce down to the garden center, bouquets to neighbors' houses and to the garden center. We got everything set up that evening, and then the next morning we posted, or maybe that was that night we posted, everything was gone except for a few onions by 8:07. They open at 8. So that was awesome. I mean, it wasn't a tremendous amount of stuff, but I thought it was so fun that so many people showed up to get some things. Country Jess said, I know why the Lord blessed you with success, because he knew you'd pay it forward and bless so many others. We need more good people like you in this world. See, and I feel like I have lived a life full of people like that towards me. So anyway, I feel like it's just a way of giving back for, you know, the childhood I was blessed with, and all of those things. So, yes. Jamie said, where do you get all your crates and baskets from? Those black crates look nice to have. All you have to do is order some bulbs in bulk from colorblends.com. Go to colorblends.com, order some, and then they show up in those black crates, and they are awesome. We have our bulbs here, and it's been, like, I don't know if we'll actually get them planted in the next 5 days because of all the rain, but probably after that, we'll get them in the ground. But I do have some new crates this year, which is exciting because we have more dahlias coming out of the patch. The other baskets, like my parents own at the garden center, you might see on occasion, like in our root cellar, I've got the onions in these kind of, what would you call those, Erin? They're not like wicker baskets. They're like kind of thin wood, like slats, you know, the ones that onions are in. I don't know what to call those. They're kind of like apple, no, they're not like apple crates. Apple crates are a little stronger. I don't know, but my parents sell a menagerie of different kind of baskets down at the garden center, and then I pick stuff up. The wind is starting to blow a little bit, so hopefully it stays a little bit calm-ish. I can see the tree right in front of me, and I just see leaves coming down out of the tree, so maybe it's not as bad as it actually looks. Corey said, off-topic question, have you ever grown a Venus flytrap or plan to? You know, I've never personally owned a Venus flytrap. I took care of them down at the garden center when they came in, but they never lasted very long. It was one of those things that was kind of in and out. But those are the type that you want to keep like really moist and they like a humid environment and things like that, right? Like that's kind of how we kept them. Like the carnivorous plants generally had some of the same care instructions, so I don't know a whole lot about them. Could use them in my house right now. They eat flies, right? Leanne said, just wondering if you ever thought of doing maybe a flower farm tour of Florette Flower and Johnny Seed in the future. You know, we have thought about it. I think that would be really fun to do. We talked to Florette last year. They invited us to come out last fall, and it was at the time where I was pregnant, fairly like advanced pregnancy with Samantha, and I had 3 ribs out at the time, and I could not get comfortable. And the thought of getting on an airplane or sitting in the car, it'd take us like 7 hours-ish to get there. I just couldn't even stomach that thought. And then we talked about maybe coming this past summer when the flower production was just like huge and everything was looking gorgeous. And it's a little bit too hard when you have a baby, like a fairly new baby. Samantha just turned 9 months this week. But typically like the first year, like Benjamin was born, I didn't do any traveling, and same with Samantha. I just can't, I've never left her before, and it's hard for me. But eventually we'll travel again, Erin, I promise. Jordan said, do you guys know why the nursery is called Andrews? Well, the man's name who started it over 100 years ago, his name is Al Andrews, so it was just named after his last name. And my parents are 4th owners. It has morphed through the years. You know, it started off just being a seed cleaning and distribution center, and now it's like full-blown 4-season garden center, and they do workshops and class. I mean, I've showed you guys around. My dad started bringing in plants prior to 1990. I just remember 1990 as being the year that my mom kind of started getting involved a little bit more, and the garden center plant portion started to grow. But my dad had, prior to that, brought in roses and fruit trees and some small bedding plants, and so he was starting to dabble. And then as us kids started getting a little bit older and we were in school for more of the day, my mom would be down there more. Anyway, just kind of fun. Lynn Marie said, are you still irrigating the flowers? Yes, we are, because it has been dry, windy. I mean, it's just how we have to do it. And it's been warm. I mean, we've had some freezing temperatures, but not enough to freeze the water lines. We, like I said, are getting 5 days of rain. It might be the start of the end for irrigating for us, which would be awesome, but we're still having to drag hoses every day to hit certain pots. Some things we can skip a lot longer, but do you have the drips running every day still, Erin? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're still running drips every day. Erin said, how do you keep your hydrangea blooms from turning brown? Oh, just a lot of water. It takes a lot of water to keep the hydrangeas happy. As long as they get that, they look great. Next video is finally edging the grass in the south garden. So we took after the loop, and it was not just me. I had help that time because all the other grass edging, it's just a ton of work. And I just kept looking at that area thinking, nope, that's gonna take me a week to do, and it's just hard physically. So I went along with my half moon step edger thing and kind of made the line, and I pried back the first little bit of sod so that there was like kind of a definite line. And then Paul and Jordan came behind me and they did all the scraping of the sod and removing that, and that was a huge help, huge blessing to have those guys follow back behind me, because we were able to, I got all of my edging done in an afternoon, and then they had their part done in that afternoon and then just a little bit the next morning. So it made the project go a lot faster. And it's not perfection. I mean, none of our lines are yet, until the grass really fills in and we get some spots reseeded, but they look so much better. It makes me feel a lot better looking at that space not looking so jagged, and then also it makes it easier for me to plan where I want to put plants because I can see where the actual line of the flower bed is. Country Jess said, my teen son and I just did this for an elderly neighbor of mine, and as hard as the work was, it felt so good. Her gardens are just overgrown because she can't do the work like she used to. Her kids live across the country, so she really doesn't have any help. I was paid with fresh lemonade, good conversation, and endless wisdom. We're already planning what she wants to do this spring. I can't wait. She's so excited to garden again. And that is just like the most rewarding thing, isn't it? I think it's so great that you went over and helped her. I love doing stuff like that. It kind of, doesn't it reinvigorate you about your own life and your own space when you go and help somebody else like that? I think that's awesome. Great job. Katie Lynn said, how are the bottoms of your poor feet after feeling after all the step edging? Mine always get bruised, but it's so worth the reward of that clean edge. My feet were fine after that project. My, what was it? Like, I think it was like my sciatic on one side, like my lower back on one side. For some reason, it just took a beating from that. I think it was just like the repetitive, but it just was like the next day I was a bit sore, but that's all. Thankfully. Janice said, why can't you leave the dahlia bulbs in the ground? Is it because of your zone? Yep, we are too cold. We're a zone 6, and I think they're like a zone 7, 8, right? I mean, I could try to mulch them up really, really well, and that might work if we have a mild winter, but I don't think I want to risk that. I have a lot of really pretty dahlias out there, and they're not cheap, so I think we'll be digging and storing those again. And it was a successful project, so I feel like now that I have 1 year of that under my belt, knowing that they store so well the way we did it, I'm feeling pretty confident. Mariana said, will you show us a process of seeding the grass? We kind of did, didn't we?
Last year.
Yeah. Well, maybe, I always say we'll link the video. Maybe we'll link the video. We did a video of seeding the grass along that strip, like the strip on the east side of our lane last fall. Catherine said, when you talk about planting large shade trees, which trees do you want to plant? I have a large horse pasture I want to plant shade trees in, but I don't know what to plant that will grow fast enough for me to enjoy my lifetime. Also, is there a place you can purchase trees at a substantial size? We are trying to source that at the moment. In fact, we might be visiting Schmidt's Arboretum. They invited us to come out this fall, and we just couldn't make it happen with, you know, everything going on, all the stuff, and then I didn't really want to be away from the kids yet. But I'm hoping next spring, either when the trees are in bloom or next fall when we can see some fall color, we'll go and look at all of their mature specimens. I think that's going to be amazing, and we'll tour you through that. If you're doing a horse pasture, I would be careful about which trees you're putting in, of course, based on what horses can be around. I think most animals are pretty smart about what to eat and what not to eat, but you don't want to like put something that's not good for them right in front of them. But as far as our purposes for our space, we don't have animals out there feeding on anything or eating the leaves, but we'll probably put some maples, which I don't think are good for horses, right? I don't know. And we're going to put some honey locusts out there because we've got a few of them around the house and they do so well for us here. I'm thinking of doing, do you have any like specific trees you have in mind? I haven't really sat down and nailed it down yet. I think that's a winter project for us, to really look through some of the tree guides. We'll probably just look through J.F. Schmidt's catalog. You can look at it online and just see all the things that they have to offer. They don't sell online, but you can see a ton of different varieties that are really interesting. The South Garden said, what kind of soil acidifier do you use, and does it come in big bags? I can only seem to find 7-pound bags, which is for sure not enough for my needs. So we use a soil acidifier from Espoma. What you're looking for, though, is aluminum sulfate. You can get the Espoma soil acidifier in big bags. Joy said, I'm just wondering why you don't use the no-dig method where you put newspapers or cardboard on top of the soil and let that decompose. I don't think it gets wet enough here for that to actually work. I mean, I think you could absolutely do it, but I think it would sit there and sit there and sit there. I think I would have to add moisture to it myself, and it would not allow me to plant right away. And I'm kind of like I want to move through projects really quickly, and if there's a faster way I can get it done, I would rather go through the physical work for the most part. I mean, I know I had help on this one, but I would rather do the work to get it done quickly and then use compost as your top dress. So, you know, I don't know, it's kind of all about balance that way. You could do the cardboard and let the grass break down and feed back into the soil, or you could take it out and add compost on top. Same. Each gal said, did they ever mention why they don't use a garden edger, electric, or gas? There must be a reason. We're not really clear on what edger are you guys all referring to. We get that question a lot, but what we find isn't exactly what we need for our projects. Like, I think a sod lifter is closer to what we need for our projects. Like, I could take anything along and make a line in the ground, whether it's something manual or if there's a machine that does that, like punches a hole in the ground instead of your shovel going in. But we need something to like come along and actually lift the sod up. And the problem with using a machine in a situation like this is I feel like it would be really easy to get off really quickly, a little harder to, I don't know, to finesse. That's it. And in this case, the sprinklers were very hard to see, and there's no way I want to break any of those sprinklers right now out there. Brand new sprinkler system. Hold on, there's an airplane. Also, what I did in this video or for this project is not something we do a lot. Like, it's kind of an initial cut in, and then I showed in that video how we use a trimmer and you turn it kind of vertically instead of horizontally, and you can keep that edge really nice just by doing that on a weekly basis, which is far less work and way quicker than what I did in this one to like kind of initially define the bed. Next video was starting flower bed cleanup. So in that one, I just went around and started doing a little bit of cleanup. We do ours incrementally around here just as things need it, which makes it not overwhelming. If I waited until every single leaf fell off of every tree, it would be a huge job. So as leaves fall, we pick them up. So like this morning, a bunch of leaves were picked up right underneath this maple tree, and right now a whole bunch are falling again. It's just kind of a constant, but it never gets out of control. It's kind of how we maintain everything around this property. Little bit at a time, small consistent efforts, and then you don't feel overwhelmed and crazy. Amanda said, I smell a fall garden tour coming. Laura, I could just walk around the whole garden and show all the plants. Yes, please. I kind of did that this morning. So we have another video coming out where I just showed you some really beautiful things this time of year. And we will probably do a project update video or some kind of like end of season tour at some point soon. Jenny said, do you cut your strawberries back in the fall? I'm in Iowa in zone 5. This is the first year growing the ever-bearing variety you grow. Typically I leave the leaves of mine up, and then whatever doesn't make it through the winter, I clean them up in the spring. So typically a lot of the leaves, kind of like a heuchera here, they're termed an evergreen in more mild climates, and I'm kind of on the bottom end of the zone that they like to grow in. So sometimes they'll stay nice if it's a fairly mild winter and I just need to clean up a little bit of leaves around the base. Strawberries kind of act the same way. A lot of time you can go out and they still have green leaves and look really nice, and then they'll just have a few tattered ones around the base. So I would just hold off and see what they do. Jay said, wondering what are you guys going to do with your big pile of compost? Burn it? It's curiously in plain sight. I know. I don't know exactly how that happened, except I think Chad made a pile there of some extra dirt or something, and then we just came in and made it bigger. We started dumping sod there, and then we cleaned a little bit of things out of our cut flower garden that ended up in that pile. They just came this morning and got that whole thing cleaned up. They took all of it away. So we've got a pile of wood chips sitting out there right now that we can spread, and it's going to look tidy and really nice. I'm glad that that part's done. Debbie said, after cleaning up and finding aphids, do you sanitize your tools? No. Maybe I should. Maybe I should be sanitizing my tools. I don't worry about stuff like that. Maybe with spider mites I should worry more about stuff like that, but aphids aren't, I mean, they're an issue, but they're so easy to handle and they're not rampant. Are you looking at me disapprovingly right now? Should I be a cleaner with my tools? Amy said, what is the next step for fleshing out the Hartley? That has been we need to do a video about it when you're feeling better so that because Aaron has been not in charge, but really dealing with the HVAC part of it. That's what we've been waiting on, which went on way too long. I'm gonna just be honest with you. It was in the hands of our HVAC people for a lot longer than it should have been, and we had, just like in the last week, we were given kind of like the estimate of different things that we could do. We were waiting on, we wanted to maybe duct in the air and not have a unit in there, and the price is insane. Anyway, we'll go over that in a video. Maybe in this next week, we'll sit down and talk to you about the Hartley. I don't think it's going to be done heated at all this winter. We won't have a floor in it, and that's fine with me. I'll go ahead and probably put a Christmas tree in there and that sort of thing so we can enjoy that, but I won't start putting plants in it until spring. And I kind of, I'm not disappointed about that at all. I'm usually a realist in situations like this, and I just set myself up for, you know, as long as we have the structure up this year, excellent. Then next year we can start with the landscaping and doing all of that stuff. And honestly, it's probably a good thing, because to get the HVAC, if the HVAC was even at a position where we could start putting it in, we need to trench electrical over there, which means we have to come from the side of the house and we have to tear up a sidewalk, like our main one to the back kitchen and part of the brick patio. And it's too late in the season really to do any big moving around here, and I don't even know what I want to do with this space, and I don't want mud through the whole winter season, and I don't want to bring in mulch or gravel. It'd have to be gravel to be kind of clean. So I think it's best just to wait until spring and have a really solid idea and have people lined up really well. Connor said, do you have a video on the best plants for dried flowers? If not, I would definitely be interested in your opinion. We don't. I mean, I've done pressing videos and how to dry your flowers with, I mean, is that what you're talking about? Like pressing or drying with silica gel, or are you talking about air drying, like hanging to air dry? We have done, you can search for like preserving flowers, I think, or pressing flowers. Anyway, we've done a couple of videos that way, but it would be fun to sit down and kind of just talk through a list of plants that do really well, like so you can plan a season to grow some of those things that do well. Good idea. And the last video from this week was making Thai chicken coconut curry with ingredients from my garden. And that was fun. It was just a change of pace. I wanted to try that recipe, which the recipe was okay. It wasn't like amazing flavor wise. I think I could add a lot more things to it to make it better, or maybe just try a different recipe. It was a very mild curry. So I still thought it was fun because Benjamin had such a good time. And I thought it would just be fun just to show you using some of the things out of our garden. So I was able to get onions and garlic out of the root cellar, carrots out of the garden, cilantro out of the garden, and spinach out of the garden. Peggy Helbling's Garden What You've Got said, Benjamin continues to amaze me. He is so accomplished at such a young age. His maturity, and he's truly an old soul, and I love curry. And yet he still gets excited about trains. He's the sweetest boy. Today I was out in the studio filming, and he kept running into the camera. I told him, Benjamin, you can't run into the camera. And so, you know, he's in his cozy coop cruising around, and he hit the camera again. And he looked up at me, and I was like, Benjamin, you cannot hit the camera. That you gotta watch out. And you barely even raise your voice or have like a sternness about it. And he got quiet. He went over and gathered his shoes and started to walk out. He's like, I'm going inside. You cracked my heart. Said, you're breaking my heart. You cracked my heart. He's just the sweetest boy, and he's just sensitive. Like, he needs really no discipline, really. He can get a little silly sometimes, especially like this week with Samantha being sick. He tries to lighten the mood, and so he tries to get, you know, silly and tries to make her laugh, and sometimes that's not the best in a stressful situation. So, but he's a sweet boy. Mark Antoine said, hey Laura, how do you like your ice maker? Well, I loved it while it worked, and then it started making this awful noise. Awful, like super loud. And then it just stopped working. It stopped making ice. So how long did we have that before it stopped working? Couple months. And we used it a lot. We used it so much, and so we need to contact the company and stuff. I'm sure we can get it worked out, but
0 out of 10.
Yeah, 0 out of 10 at this point. 10 out of 10 when it was working. It was amazing until it wasn't. Krista said, so what does Aaron eat when you cook something that he doesn't care for? Does he make his own dinner? I thought you would take that funny looking carrot to your dad. I should have taken that carrot to my dad. I don't know. I think Aaron, he did eat that curry after I got it home, and he said, like, it was good, which for a curry, that surprised me, but he said it was pretty mild. So for you to even say it was a pretty mild curry, I knew it was too mild. Anyway, I think that sometimes I don't often cook stuff that you don't like. really.
True rare.
Like, I don't like set out to cook things that he doesn't like, but I think you use it as a good opportunity to order pizza from somewhere, because I'm not a pizza person. I can eat it, but it's never something I crave, and it's his favorite food. So we can go our separate ways for food every once in a while and really enjoy it. Dre said, did we lose Phyllis? Yes, Phyllis is no longer with us. She was the little white chicken that lived down at Andrews for a long time. Lisa said, what kind of cilantro did you grow? Mine always bolts. My cilantro comes out of the bulk bin down at the garden center, which they do sell online, mandrewseed.com. I don't think it has an actual variety name. It just says cilantro on the bin. 2 Acres Evolving said, I really enjoy your cooking videos, just like your gardening videos. Thank you. That looked amazing. Have you considered a cooking channel, as if you don't have enough to do? We've considered and talked about all kinds of things. I mean, I'm sure you guys all do the same thing, you know, in life. You think about all kinds of different things you want to get into or try or dabble with. Cooking videos would be really fun. For us, in our current kitchen space, like what I did in this video was incredibly low production quality. I mean, I used our like cheapest cameras, I guess, to make cooking videos look nice. It is a tremendous amount of effort to set up the right lighting. I notice with a lot of people's cooking videos that I see, their kitchen does not look lived in, and ours looks very lived in, and there's like toys in the background and life going on around us, and sometimes that stops me from doing it because sometimes it's a little bit too stressful because there's too much noise or whatever, and I don't want to be an extra element of stress and like make people be quiet or whatever, you know. So it's something that, you know, maybe if we could set ourselves up in the studio better to have, you know, like a hot plate in there. I have a hot plate.
Or had another kitchen.
Or if we had another kitchen somewhere. Where could we build a kitchen? Just by itself. Just a little box that's a kitchen. Jeannie said, can I buy the brown truck for 2 monies? Benjamin was just, his stories are just so cute. And sometimes I just like stand there and I just like to listen to whatever he has to say. But he was talking about all the trucks in the back of Andrews, the work trucks, and how he wanted to buy them and how his plans for him in the future. It was pretty cute. I think that was at the end of the video. Lisa said, you're going to get 1,000,000 comments, but why in the world are you cutting with a curved paring knife? Well, it's because that's my favorite knife. It's the one in my kitchen right now that's the sharpest, and it cuts everything really nicely. It's probably not the best thing, but honestly, I didn't even know it was called a paring knife. That's how much I know about the subject. And I like to cook, but I don't get into the details of things like that. Like, I am the person, much to Aaron's chagrin, that will use a butter knife as a screwdriver just to get the job done faster instead of going and getting the correct tool. And I always know, and maybe this is why I don't do so many cooking videos, but I know I'm going to get like tons of comments. Not just about the knife, but about like, I don't know, whatever method it might be. I just try to get from point A to point B however it makes sense to me, and that way I enjoy it, and I just don't get bogged down by the details. Nadia said, fresh produce is quite expensive here in Norway. Would you say you save a lot of money from growing your own produce? No, I would say that it's probably cheaper to buy your own produce, just because, like, for us, the infrastructure of getting your irrigation set up is huge. So you've got that initial cost, you got your tools, your fertilizer, your seeds, your plants, and then you've got to consider the time that you spend doing that too. However, I don't know that you can really consider time in the cost thing, because I mean, the time we spent doing that, for most of us, it's what we love to do. It's what we want to spend our time doing. And if that's the case, then all those other things don't matter. It also opens you up to being able to grow so many different varieties that you would never be able to get at a grocery store. So I mean, it's a whole new world of produce out there when you can grow your own. So I mean, you just have to weigh those things out. Some things, like, I mean, I hardly ever grow cilantro like I have it out there in the cut garden right now, because cilantro is like 75 cents for a bunch of it at the store, or 2 for $1 or something like that. And that is so inexpensive to actually growing it out in your own garden. I just, you know, every year I just like to grow different things. So anyway, and that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully next week we'll be back up to like full production, and Aaron will be feeling better, and we'll be all normal around here. Hope you guys have a great day and a great week, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.